This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more. If it is Tuesday, that means we're live as always on Talk4 Media, K4HD Radio, Talk4 TV, streaming on over 100 outlets around the world right now. And I always say this ahead of time because I do a lot of the things off the top of my head, because specifically when there's a retrograde, we never know when they're going to have computer problems. So just in case, you just go with it, because we just never know who may drop out, aka Howard Wiggins, but you just never know. So the good thing about this, Howard laughs because he knows. The good thing about this is show number 144 live shows in a row, episode 18, season 5. And I say this because I put it all on. And the reason I say these things is because I hope by the end of June that we hit 1 billion views. We're really at 713 million views right now and counting, even though the number is lower on social media. I do that on purpose, because we have a lot of people reaching out to us around the world, and it could be overwhelming, right, Lisa, with things go on? But the good thing about the show, I've been waiting for this because every show is special, no matter what. We have great guests that come on around the world, and anybody who chimes in knows that. Our co-host knows that. We'll probably have 1, 2, 3 more people come on. Terry may come on late. She's at a doctor's office. Rachel is having internet problems in Houston, Texas. Tasha will be chiming on probably late. She's running to get back. And so we go with what we have, and it's always enough, and it's a great thing. So, Lisa, I'm going to start with you. And the reason for this is, when you're that author, you've got that book that's it's all about being happy and choosing positivity. How did Rebel know how to do that? She just, see, I didn't plan these things. It just kind of happened. So it's a great thing about that, because
magic.
When you're an intuitive coach and you're in Laguna and you're that co-founder of High Vibe Sisters, that's a great thing. And then, when you have Dr. Patricia, I love her films. I think I've met her before throughout the way with all the stuff that she's done with studios. And I love the fact that she's doing stuff with AI. And Nicole publicist wanted me to run down to Slam Dance and meet you. And I was doing something and I couldn't make it. And I was like, I wish I did, because I loved your film so much, called Mom Bomb. This film has won a bunch of awards around the world. Let's see. Brisbane, Australia. It's won Best in Central AI. Mexico, it is won Best Animated Short. What's the other one? There's one. Peking, China. Let's see. Best Visual Effects. And it's not Red Sands, but that's another one. We're going to talk about that one later. But it's great. And, I got to talk about Rad, too, because these, all these films are just being thrown out. And Patricia, you know what I mean, when all these things are coming out. Everything's being bombarded. So that's why I want to make sure I can do the best that we can when it comes to independent filmmakers, because it's very, very important to have you on this, because you're not getting enough publicity. You're not getting those people around the world going out to support, theaters. When you've got over 1,000 theater chains closing around the country, that's not good. So we at Movie Reviews and More are doing our best to make sure that people can go to film festivals, support your local theater, support your artists, support inventors, support people like Debra. When you're that founder and you're out, in Alabama, and you got storms and everything's going just like in Tennessee and in the South, you just never know what's happening with stuff. But I love this product. This product is great because for pug dogs, French bulldogs, she's going to tell the story why this is relevant and having these feeders. So dogs who have strange faces, they can eat properly, they can eat better. It's really important. But first of all, I got to start with Lisa first. Lisa, let's talk about, you were just here. We just saw you at Celebrity, at Gifting Suite for Heather Mariano's Enchant Gifting Lounge for the Oscars for this year. That's where we met. And you had this book and you had this energy and you gave me a reading a couple weeks ago, which I thought was great. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this photo. Let's talk about your books.
Well, great. Yeah, it was great reading you too, Brian. The book, 35 Ways to Spark Joy into Your Life, is a book that my partner Kim and I have put together with our group, which is called High Vibe Soul Sisters. And it's a women's group. We've all come together to empower each other, and we really want to share with others ways we spark joy and as a community, because we feel like, especially in the last few years too, it's just everything is so Debbie Downer, everything's just dark and heavy, and the conversations seem to be circulating around. Well, we know what the conversations are circulating around, right? So we came up with this idea for a collaboration book. So it's 35 women coming together, and Heather, who put on the Gifting Suite, has a chapter in it as well. And it's just 35 ways to spark joy. So one of the ways that I've been sharing with people about ways that I spark joy is finding hidden talents in others. Because I'm an intuitive, to me, I feel like that's my gift. So meeting with you, Brian, helping you, and then helping others sort of discover what their gifts may be. So that's kind of a quick compilation of both.
And that's important to know. And speaking of joy, that's why Vocally Tosh comes on, because it's always about joy, especially with the way she looks coming out of Miami, Florida. So you know how I like to pick on you, Tosh. So Dr. Patricia Beckmann Wells, you are that creative host. You're that creative artist. I love this film called Mom Bomb.
You're very kind. Thank
really
you.
good. I don't say it to be kind. I say it because it's true. It's not easy to get in slam dance. You're a slam dance alumni. Peter Baxter and everybody who puts on all these events like this. These are great.
They're incredible.
Things. Talk about your experience of doing this, and especially you are one of those people. I would say in the world that's leading the way on AI. Also, talk about that.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that happened. I learned these tools just to learn them so I could teach them. I always want my students to be on the cutting edge of things, but I had this story on my mind for years. So I learn things best when I'm applying them to one of my own projects. And I brought forth a story that's been weighing heavy on my heart since I was a child, when I was followed by serial killers as a child, and my mom didn't believe me. And one of the killers is out on parole, and the other one was up for parole last week. So I felt like telling the story finally, and artificial intelligence gave me the tools to not only do this with vivid, gorgeous, realistic imagery, but it also allowed me to do it quickly. And the benefit of AI was that I didn't use all of the stolen artwork that originally populated it, but I sculpted the dolls, and then I 3D printed them, then I painted them, and I put hair on them for my goats. And then I made my own Laura so that I could make the art for this.
I think Rebel wants to show this, and Debra, we're going to come to you, and then I'm going to have all the hosts introduce themselves. All right, Rebel, let's see if we have this clip. I love this.
Thanks.
I was very shy, and one day I had to tell a bedtime story to my new campfire group. They had never heard me speak before.
This is a cautionary tale.
You should never go to the Overlook. Never go alone. Never go with a boy.
My mom told me the same bedtime stories she heard as a kid. Brothers Grimm, the kind where witches baked curious children into cookies and ate them. I can be silly about that. These girls were all raised on educational television. Somehow Mr. Rogers raised them to be cruel. One of them understood me, Beaner. Beaner was my best friend. I was the first one he followed that summer. Then one by one, the others stopped coming to camp. I thought it was because of me, but it turns out there was a real monster in the woods.
All right, Patricia, talk about that because that's very, very interesting. And then we're going to get into Deborah and then Tosh, Carol, and Howard will introduce themselves. Go, Deborah. Patricia.
Okay, this is about the relationship between my mother and I. It's actually a comparison of cultures and intergenerational trauma, and also the memories that come down from generation to generation when there's trauma. So even though the beginning feels like a retelling of that situation, it's really a retelling of our relationship over time. My mother had also been chased by serial killers when she was younger, but in the form of World War II soldiers. So she thought, because she had told me so many Brother Grimm's fairy tales while growing up, that I was taking on this fantasy identity. So it caused a rift in our relationship where she didn't believe me, but I was trying desperately to get protection from her. And because I didn't get her belief, I was the person that these two gentlemen trained on. They weren't successful. They followed me, but they were too tentative. As time went on, 4 or 5 years later, they killed 12 or 13 that they admit to, but it's estimated that twice that amount of people died. So you can imagine the guilt you grow up with when you realize that you weren't able to be heard. And that's what this story is about.
So, Deborah, hold on for a minute. I have to introduce Carol because I can see Carol's mind because this goes into the neuroculture things. Carol, tell them who you are.
Oh, right on. Oh, I'm so glad you're here, Carol.
Thank you. Yeah, I was, I'm so intrigued by this movie and by the direction, the approach you took through what was happening in your environment. And, I have so many questions, right? So I am a multi-international business owner and I'm a certified neuroscience-based coach. And I particularly help women with their wealth moving from 6 to 7 figures. And so, yeah, this is like, you're right. The neuroscience side of me is going, okay, I totally get the story about the trauma, but then the other side of me is going, what was it in the environment that was creating serial killers in Ohio at this time?
Yes. Oh, it's famous for it, isn't it?
Yeah. Why was this going on? What was so conducive to that? And then, the inability to be heard, right? And you're just a child and like your parents not believing you, who else was there to reach out to and why would they believe you? And my mind is like, I'm totally involved, right? You can tell.
Right on.
Dr. Patricia, hold that thought. Okay, Howard, I want to make sure he's okay in Tennessee. Howard, can you hear us?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay,
Yes.
he's probably got a second delay. Yep,
okay.
Go ahead. Tell everybody who you are, what's going on with you.
Okay, I'm Howard Wiggins. As it says, I'm one of the top 35 leading interior designers in the world. I'm son of Little Roy Wiggins, plays steel guitar for Eddie Arnold. Let's see, I've had all my Christmas dinners with Eddie Arnold, Minnie Pearl. I'm known for kissing Dolly Parton. So, and that's about it. Of course, movies.
He has more than that. We're going to go into this as we go around. Vocally, Tosh, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Natasha Rumbos. Call me Vocally Tosh. I'm a little bit of everything. My main passion is singing. So I do Latin pop, urban Latin music. Been doing it for about 5 years now. And this past weekend, I just did like a really amazing accomplishment for me as an independent artist. And I was performing in one of Miami's biggest Latin festivals called Calle Ocho. And I had the opportunity to go and present my music there and, share my music with everybody in Miami. And it was like such a whole like full circle moment. 'Cause I used to go to that festival when I was little and like get a lot of like food, and it was just crazy for me to be on the stage years later. So that's my main passion. I do music. That's always been something very important to me. I've been doing radio with Brian since 2020. He actually was my first interview when I first released my music. So we developed a really beautiful friendship from that, and then became his co-host.
See, there's
And
hope
then-
for I said there's hope for everybody.
Yeah, you're so funny. And then after that, besides like music and doing radio, I do focus a lot on social media, building my profile as an influencer, working with brands and teaching other people how to do the same without having to have, prior experience. So I've always been wanting to help other people, reach their higher self. And, in different ways through social media. That's very important. So I dedicate my time to that as well.
All right, so Lisa, we're coming to you after Debra, and back to Dr. Patricia. So what got me on this was when you have a dog named Pork Chop, that was enough for me to like anything. Debra, talk about your dog and how you started this great project that you have, because I was so happy to get these, when I was in Vegas, I got them in different colors, and talk about how you started this company.
Okay, so Pork Chop, I didn't know I liked pugs until I met Pork Chop, and he was called Pork Chop because he just loved to eat. And as he got older, it just became harder for him to eat, and I would observe him. And because he loved food so much, like he would work so hard to get every little piece of food in his mouth. And it was just that important to him to eat. So I was observing him, and I'm like, there's got to be a better way to feed him. And I had tried different feeders on the market, but what I realized is when we feed our pet from a bowl, it's like, imagine eating a bowl of spaghetti with no hands and no silverware. Like, how uncomfortable would that be? Because you're bending your neck down, you're putting strain on your neck and joints, and you're sticking your face in this dark space to eat. And the food is piling up, so you're taking big gulps of food. And when you're eating with your neck down, you're actually fighting gravity as you're trying to digest the food. So I got a 3D printer, and I started experimenting with like different types of bowls to make for Pork Chop. And I came up with the Fluff Trough. And what makes the Fluff Trough unique, as you can see on the screen, is it does have an open front design. So this allows your pet to eat with their neck in the most natural and ergonomic position. And it has a wide and shallow surface area, which just makes it easier for them to get the food in their mouths, and you can spread the food out more so they're not taking big gulps of food. So I had made this simply for Pork Chop, trying to help him, and people would say, oh, well, I want one of those for my dog. And I was like, okay, maybe I should do something more with this. So at that time, I had been saving money to buy a house, and I took that money and I used my down payment for the house to buy the tooling, which is the stamp you need to make the product, as well as the patent protection. And, we've been in business for 6 years now. And what's interesting is people originally bought this product for their flat-faced dog. But what they noticed is the cat enjoyed eating from it more, and the lab enjoyed eating from it more because it's more ergonomic. So it's really gone past just being used for flat-faced pets. It's works really, really well for all breeds.
And, it also works well for cats too. We got to mention that. So it's FDA friendly, vet approved, all of these things like that. And I love that. I had never seen this before. So when it came to me, I'm like, this is great. I can't wait to have her on to talk about this. I just love that.
Thank you. Yeah. And for cats, which they get something called whisker fatigue. So when they eat, if their whiskers press against the bowl, it's too sensitive for their whiskers. So by having a wide and shallow surface area, they're not getting whisker fatigue when they eat.
Let's take a look at this clip. I love
Debra,
that.
was that pork chop?
No.
You
Is
know,
that your dog?
so Pork Chop has passed away. He was a bit older when I made the product. That is one of our really good pug friends, Puggy Smalls from the UK.
Oh,
Super
that's
cute.
such a great like video. Like I was like smiling the whole time, and you could really tell the difference between like, you know, eating from the bowl and from the thing. Like they're actually like leveled. So I have a dog, so I'm just like, I always see him struggling, and I'm like, that would be like such a great, you know, to try for him.
Yeah, it's really interesting because pet products, there's been a lot of innovation over the years as like pet ownership has changed, where you know, people used to kind of just have pets and leave them outside, but now they're like children. But what's interesting is the bowl, really, there's been no innovation with the pet bowl, you know? So this is really, I'm hoping, you know, we create a lot more awareness for this and people can kind of see how uncomfortable it is to have their pets eat from traditional bowls.
See, that's why I loved it. I just loved it when I came in. I'm like, wow, this is pretty good. Even how it was packed, I loved that. Lisa lost her connection, and I knew that was going to happen. So again, she's trying to log back in from Laguna Beach. Dr. Patricia, so when it comes to your short film, I'm so bummed that I didn't get a chance to meet you at Slam Dance, because Slam Dance was great this year. They were up. Ticket sales were up 65%.
Everything was sold out 2 weeks ahead.
Absolutely. Now I have to say this because Howard, I thought of you, because Howard is the actor on here, not me. So anytime I have a director, I always kind of send them their way. But it's one of these things where I immediately thought of Howard playing that kind of weird thing in there. It's such a great movie. I watched it 3 times. It's only 5 minutes because it's short. But it's also, is it true that you've made 12 episodes out of this? And it's going to be made into a feature? Explain that.
I completed 3 of them, and I'm cutting them into a feature. So I have about the first 20 minutes done. And I'm hoping by the end of the summertime to have the whole thing done.
Good for you. And so when you mentioned Toledo, Ohio, I was there when these things. I was marching in a drum and bugle corps, and Key to the Sea was in Toledo, Ohio in the summers. And I remember that. And I remember us being warned there's something going on here. And we were at the ages of 14 to 21 years old.
Really?
I remember this. And this is in the mid 70s at this point too. And I'm like thinking, whoa, it brought back memories of that. I'm like, wow, I forgot all about that until I was reading a little bit about that. Talk about that experience. You don't really get over that, do you? But also, you know, the release of this guy coming up too, the brother.
Yeah. They never told us about it. It was before the internet.
Yeah.
All this went down. And I didn't really learn about it until I was like in my late 20s, like what was going down. It was the stuff of legends that we told each other around campfires. When I discovered it was really true, and I saw the picture of the gentleman who was one of the brothers who had been following me, it was shocking because I immediately recognized him. It's exactly what he looked like. And to realize that I came so close to something was chilling, and it still is something that shocks me. I can't really believe it. So I'm glad that you were warned. And yes, there were quite a few people in that area that were committing crimes just like that. And you just wonder what was in the soil at that time.
Yeah.
In the water.
Yeah. Wow. Talk about your experience of Slam Dance this year. You know what it's like being in Utah and then coming in for being in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it was my second time with Slam Dance, so I can give you a real comparison between the two. The first time I was with Slam Dance, I was lucky enough to be selected for my short animated film Propolis, Part 7. And Propolis was another mental movie that was based on surviving the fires in California. We were surrounded by fire back in 2017 to the point where we couldn't get out. I mean, we were literally surrounded by fire, and the upper part of our neighborhood was all gone. 17 or 18 homes were totaled. But we survived it because we just stayed up all night beating it down. So Propolis was my first one, and I thought never again would I ever get in again. I mean, the percentages are just too narrow to get a chance to go in. And I just submitted it on a lark, hoping that they would even look at it. And it became really the first AI film to compete in a live action category in since the start of artificial intelligence, which shocked me. It shocked me that they went out on a limb to show this, because there's a great deal of pushback in Hollywood. Not everybody understands what an AI assisted pipeline is. They still think it's just the parlor trick you do with Bing. But in reality, it's a pipeline where you can control all of the art going into it, what happens to it, and speed up your own production pipeline so that you, as an individual, can create an entire film instead of relying on 30 or 40 other people. It's going to change everything in the coming years.
That's incredible. And the characters, the dolls that you created, I mean,
thank you.
You know, the creativity that goes into that, and then utilizing the AI to assist you with that, like, seems to me like a great use of AI. You know,
it gives people freedom to be creators. Like, there can be one author to a book, but there can't be one author to a movie. This completely changes that.
Wow.
See, Tosh, I immediately thought about you too, because the way you're doing your music videos, you could do a lot of things. You can incorporate a lot of product placements, which will help you get your videos done. And I was thinking about Howard, because he's that actor. Because Howard, didn't you play a killer in something? I mean, that's one reason why
I played a ghost, and then this Saturday I'm going to go play a policeman that is going to arrest the killer. So yes. So.
But Dr. Patricia, that's why I was thinking about Howard.
Right on. Oh, that's a lot of fun.
Carol, what's been going on with you now? Because there's a lot of things that have been going on. You just left California, so you just left something that we were at. So
yeah, well, this coming week I'm attending the premiere for the Dining Divas. They're opening Dining Divas California, and Christine Curran, who is the head, is also in the Easy Way Network with you and I. And then I'm going out to Phoenix to shoot an interview for Sonoran Living morning show with ABC 15. And so, yeah, a lot of good things going on. I'm in the middle of relaunching my year-long program where I take women from 6 to 7 figures. And so a lot of exciting things happening.
And talk about your cruise, because everybody's doing so much these days. And Debra, I'm coming back to you in a minute, and then Tosh. That cruise you were on, see, I don't have time to take a cruise. I was like, no, I'll just send other people. And even though I've been invited, but that cruise is important because we knew a couple people that are coming on future shows.
That's right. It was the Marketers Cruise. It was in its 18th year. It'll be going out of the California coast next year down to Baja. So that'll be awesome. And it's almost already sold out. It's really an incredible group of people I got to connect with. And I'm so glad we're having a couple of them on. It was some of the things that I learned on that cruise were mind-blowing, truly transformational. So I highly recommend it.
All right, Tosh, hold on. Let's see if Howard's connection is okay. Howard, can you hear us?
I can hear you fine.
All right, good. He's in this room number 37. I usually use room number 36. We got it. All right, so Rebel, let's show his room because it looks different. It looks beautiful. It looks like we have never seen this one before. Okay, what's that in the back?
Is this the living room?
That's my desk, and I have a new style called stacked and layered. So all above the wall is just completely filled with antiques and interesting items such as jade and Oriental figures, Oriental mirror, Oriental hat, ivory piece, cloisonne, bonsai tree here. So just, and the desk is gold leaf. So
wow.
So
that's gorgeous. I like that.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so Debra, back to you, because we've lost Lisa. She's got, and I knew she was having a bad connection. She can't get back on. So, Debra, when it comes to this, because I love seeing dogs in movies, aka John Wick. You think of a lot of things that go on. A lot of us are dog lovers. When you came up with this and you started your 3D printing, thank goodness for that, right? Just like sort of AI. AI has its good things, it has its bad things. talk about how that came, because you couldn't have done it without that printer, right?
Yeah, so with a 3D printer, it allows you to do rapid prototyping where, you come up with the idea and then you feed it into the 3D printer and it makes a physical model of that. And you could print, like the first version of the Fluff Trough, I printed in less than 2 days. And then if you're going to test it with an animal, because the printer uses plastic filament, you have to put a food safe epoxy on it. So that's just a small step. And, I made the first version, which just kind of came out of my head. And, it was very crude to, what the product is today, but I tested it with pork chop. And I immediately was like, okay, I need to make it a little wider. I need to make it a little thinner in some areas. So, you go back to the drawing board, spit a new prototype out of the 3D printer, and then test it again. And, we use that process now. I think it's really important. You see a lot of there's a lot of products out there. It's very competitive. And when we release a new product, we want to make sure it's very inclusive. So I'll test a product with an animal that maybe has a jaw issue, a mobility issue, a spine issue, teeth issues, because if it works really well for an animal that has health issues, it's going to work really well for a healthy animal. So we do a lot of testing. It takes almost a year to release a new product with all the testing we do and then revising the prototype so we get it just right.
All right, so your review gets the 4 E's for movie reviews and more. It's educational, it's engaging, it's entertaining, and I was excited when I got it. So good for you on that, because that's not easy, and that's why we like to have a lot of small mom and pop businesses on, women-owned products and things like that, because I didn't know about this until, I got to thank Rita, publicist from Orchid Communications USA. She goes, Brian, you want this? You want this? I'm like, yeah, I'll take it all. Thank goodness. When I opened this box, I was like, this is exciting. I couldn't wait to tell people. I was like, I almost ran out to the street, waving around to tell someone about it. That's how excited I was when I got it.
Debra, I have a question. What's your background? Like, what did you go to school for?
Yeah, so my background is not in product design. It's in technical communication, which is essentially technical writing. So designing information for a specific audience to get them to take action, which when I got out of college, I started doing like professional resume writing and, writing like training programs for corporations. So this was just something I did really out of love for my pug, and it's really changed my whole life now, because I've had this business for 6 years. I quit the work I was doing before. It's enabled me to travel full time because I run the business remotely. I'm so glad, Brian, you were so happy with it. Some of the very common feedback we get from customers is, this is the best product I've ever bought for my pet. I wish I would have got this sooner. It's just really become a life-changing thing for them. So it's really nice to know that it's helping so many animals. And last year we were on Prime Video released their version of Shark Tank. So I went through the audition process and I went on the show, and the celebrity judges were Gwyneth Paltrow. So I got to meet Gwyneth Paltrow, Jamie Siminoff, who is the creator of the Ring doorbell, and then Amazon executive Michelle Rothman. And, you competed with other products, and Fluff Trough actually won the episode we were on.
Amazing.
Wow. Thank you.
And Lisa, now that we got your back, because I thought you were reading the room the whole time. You probably are. So let's talk about your dog and your internet. So what's going on and with the joy? Because Dr. Patricia needs it.
Well, I was just going to say, I did 3 readings today, virtual readings, and I was fine. So I've been fine. But things happen and lights flicker, all sorts of things happen all the time with me. So I'm not surprised. Like you said, you just go with it, So, and what were you asking me, Brian? Now that we're
about your book, and I thought you because I thought you were reading our room for a minute too, because you intuitives tend to do that. So I can look at the faces what you have.
Yes, I can do that for sure. So the book 35 Ways to Spark Joy, as I said earlier, is it's a women's collaboration book. And it's a way for women to share their stories, but also to inspire others. And so, as I said earlier, things have gotten a little crazy over the last few years, and we really need to come together as a community, and be joyful together and share joy, and really, as far as women, reconnect with each other and lift each other up. So that's what the book is about. One of the ways that I spark joy, like I said earlier, is helping people find their hidden gifts. I've been using my hidden gifts since I was born, but a couple of funny things, like I've had businesses where if I was looking, like, let's say, for example, I bought a property and I would visualize, what I wanted the property to look like. And, you look on the MLS, you look and see if things are listed, and you're like, nah, swipe, that's not it. This happened to me twice. I would visualize it, and then I would just drive an area where I thought it would be the area where I wanted to buy a building. And I ended up finding a building. I had a store I found that way, was not listed. I bought a condo that way, where I drove on the street I wanted. It was not listed. So, those are things that I've used in my life as far as my intuition and manifesting. And now what I'm doing is I'm teaching others to do it, because I feel like everybody has those gifts. I'm not special, I've just utilized them, and I discovered them early. I discovered them when I was a kid. So I've been using them, and, it's like any kind of muscle, you have to practice. So that's one of the chapters that I write about in 35 Ways to Spark Joy. My ways of sparking joy is helping others. So,
and I loved your reading that you gave me a couple
of
weeks ago too.
That's my sole purpose, is to really.
So someone wants you to post the link for you too.
You left what?
And they want you to post the link. You got a link of you that's running on the bottom. But also talk about working with the Real Housewives of Orange County too.
Well, that was a few years ago. So I made the decision about 3 years ago that I make a joke, like I came out of the closet kind of thing, where I wasn't like a hidden intuitive anymore. I was actually going to, other than my like network that knew, I was going to actually share that with people. And so one of the ways I shared it was, trying to get out there. So they brought me on the premiere of season 17. And what we did was really fun. We created almost like a retreat environment. So I had everybody in a circle, and I intuitively, and I do this in my workshops as well, it's really fun, is I intuitively match people. So I pick this person and this person. I say, you guys sit here, you sit here, kind of like that, like you're in kindergarten, right? Like Bobby sit in the front row, Cindy in the third row. And now, of course, the cast knew each other. Most of the time, the workshops, no, they don't know each other. But with the cast, sitting with somebody that maybe they didn't want to sit next to, that kind of thing. So it was really fun. And then I take them through some exercises, and I get them talking. And so it was a really, really cool experience. And when they went to edit it, and just not see me.
No, we got you.
Brian?
You have no, we can see you. We got you.
Oh.
Lisa has
I can see you. Can you
have
hear
like
me and see me?
You have like a 2-second delay. We can hear you. Do this. Dr. Patricia, I'm going to go to you, and then Lisa, come in and out.
Yeah, just cut me off when you come back on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we lost our connection. I'll have a connection.
It's too bad.
Dr. Patricia, and then Tasha, I'm going to you next. Talk about your experience of slam dance. What was that like for you this year?
Sure. Slam dance works very hard to connect filmmakers to each other and to industry. It's a very special film festival in that way, that you never know if you have talent in the audience that is interested in your story. it also works to get you prepared to meet with industry. The first slam dance I was with was great because they connected all of us. They took us to a bar to meet one another, and I'm still in contact with all those filmmakers. And I think Lisa is back.
So Lisa, finish the next year the last thing that you said, just in case we lose you again. It's okay. We're used to this.
Well, and I'm talking as fast as I can. But what I was just saying was when they went to edit the show, we had gotten through so much because it's a whole day of taping that they only showed clips so that it would have given the whole season away because there were things that came up, in these discussions. So it was really eye-opening, but it was a fun experience for me, for sure. Very fun.
And I have to say, if you want a reading from her, it was great because I had one a couple of weeks ago and I loved it. It was great. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. We went for 60. I was very happy with what she said. So, like I said, a lot of great things going on for all of us, which is good. Tosh, I've been talking to a lot of people about you. Believe it or not, I've been talking behind your back. Good things, obviously, which is good. Talk about what you performed last week, and then we're going to show a couple movie clips going back into the 80s and a couple things that are coming up. Go ahead, Tosh.
Yeah, so like I said, it was the Calle Ocho Music Festival, which was their 50th anniversary, and they always do it in Miami and Little Havana, where they shut down the whole 8th Street, and then they just put like stages. It's a festival, and it's more to celebrate the Hispanic culture, but more in the Cuban culture. And I was invited to be part of, the festival, and it was very awesome because I was able to create. I only had 5 minutes, and I didn't want to just sing 2 of my songs. I wanted to give people a little bit more of a taste of my music. So I created a medley with my top 4 songs, and it was just perfect pieces of each song, and they all just blended so well together. It was very nice to see how the people were just really vibing to it, and I had brought down one of my friends that I have a song with. He came down from Orlando. We performed together, and it was his first time performing ever as an artist. So it was really awesome that I was able to give him that opportunity. Because I always remember the first time that I sang, and it's nerve-wracking. So I was I'm here for you. I want to see our song and us as individual artists go up and beyond. So it was a very nice, beautiful experience. There was this couple that came up to me after my show, and they were like, "Oh my God, Natasha, we don't know you, but we just loved what you did up there, and I didn't understand a word you said, but we would love a picture with you." And it was just I was like, "You want a picture with me?" That's it was a very nice moment, a nice interaction, and I'm very proud of myself that I put myself through that, and it was totally worth it. And I'm excited, and working on my next projects that I have going on, and just keeping focused. I just turned 30 2 weeks ago, so I kind of had a midlife crisis.
You can't. You're too young. And any of these women will tell you that.
I don't know what was going on, but that week that I turned 30, I was in such a good mood, and all of a sudden I was questioning my existence and things that I was doing, and I was why am I thinking about this when I don't really think like this? So it was just a weird funk, but I'm out of the funk. I'm already I accept it. I'm 30, and I'm excited for this decade that's coming up. And I took my 20s as a learning lesson to figure out what I wanted to do with my life and what I liked and what I didn't. And my 30s is meant to accomplish those goals and dreams that I've been building since 20s, but this time is
Exactly. Hey, Rebel, let's take a look at these clips because Tosh, you got a neuro coach here. She can help you out. And if you want to, lucky to be alive, ask Dr. Patricia about that. And if you want to be a dog, well, Debra created something out of a 3D printer. So we got Red Sands coming up. This was about Red Sands in El Paso, Texas. It was a really good short. That was at South by Southwest. Talked to Her name was Romana. Very, very good short film. It's about the dunes out there with the Latino community goes out and they just ride into dunes, and it's not owned by anybody. So they can go out and get together. Now it's really, really good. And the other one, if you remember this movie called Rad, Bart Connor became an Olympic gymnast. He was in it, and Bill Allen. It's coming back this Friday for Phantom Entertainment on 700 screens, one night only. And Dr. Patricia, you know what that's like when you can come out for one night only on 700 screens. Wouldn't you love that? So that's coming back. And it was about BMX bike racing. And that's what led to everything that's going up today. So going back to your film, what you created, that's a good thing too. And one more time around, talk about your film, where we can see it next, hopefully, because it's such a wonderful film to see.
Absolutely. We got it picked up by a couple more film festivals, which is great.
Good.
This week, actually, we're showing in Nepal, in the Nepal International Film Festival, which is a huge festival. And after that, we got accepted into the New York Independent Film Festival in New York City. We also are in the New Media Film Festival in Los Angeles after that. So we got very lucky to be continually picked up. We've been in over 30 festivals now.
And you won a lot of things. Congratulations.
We've won 10 of them. Yeah.
That's a great thing to have. I hope to see you next. I hope to see you when I get back to Los Angeles because, like I said,
I'd love to see you. Thank you.
Then, give your social media websites for everybody. Go ahead. Dr. Patricia, social media.
Okay. Mine is mombombfilm.com, or you just put a hashtag in front of that, and it's mombombfilm at Instagram and Facebook.
Tosh.
You can find me at Vocally Tosh on all social media platforms. You can search my music on all streaming platforms. Just search Natasha Rumbos. And if you are ever in need of like really clean Turkish products, I got you in makeup, skincare, hairline, manline. I got it all. And I can teach you everything you need to know about doing social media. So that's me.
Howard Wiggins Facebook, of course, movies, review, and more. If you go to the Facebook, just do the plain Howard Wiggins, not the interior design. That's the one I post on all the time. So.
And for the record, he's got the James Brown clip that we put the music on. It's the #1 shorts clip that we have. It's got 203,000 views, Howard. Who would have known?
Wow.
203,000. My mouth dropped, and I'm like, I'm not surprised. It's Howard. And then, so Debra, how can people go and order these? This is real important, I love that photo.
Thank you. Our website is flufftrough.com, and our social is at Fluff Trough.
And Carol, you get the last word. How can people reach out to you?
Reach me at Carol Register on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah. I'm also NeuroCoach Carol on Instagram, but you can find me by Carol Register. And I'd love to connect. I'd love to help you with where you're at in your well story.
Yeah, she's got a lot of great things going on. So you have to, Tosh. And that's a great thing. I keep recommending you every day, the Terry, too. So I always say this.
Tosh, I can tell you exactly why that showed up for you.
Yeah, since you're over the age of, at 30 years old, Tosh, anybody is, see, they're all laughing. They all know you've just begun. You're in good hands with us. So that's a good thing. And I always say this, you got to start something and then you got to create something to be successful. And then you've got to take that and make it successful. And I say to everybody tonight, have a good night tonight, a better day tomorrow. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. We are Movie Reviews and More. I'm Brian Sebastian, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.